Welcome to Speakeasily versus the 80s. We dredge up the best of the worst of the decade we grew up in, mining gems from the cavernous and sometimes vacuous decade of the 1980s. Come with us on our collective midlife crisis as we explore the forgotten and should be forgotten jet trash that made us the perverts we are today. We're coming at you live from the past on the interwaves from our state-of-the-art bomb shelter in Fresno, California. With me, as always, are my partners in podcast crime, Klingon Vanna White and Shecky Davis Jr.
Hello.
Greetings and salutations.
Hey, guys.
We're back, and I love it. We missed you all out there in podcast land.
Yeah, we took a slight breather so we could go fight with our families.
Yes, the holidays always bring out the best in everybody, right?
That was a good bit. Let's talk about families.
It's not.
That's not.
You're right. Let's just dive into this shit. Today, we beam to the Mad Maxian dystopian future past of the year 2017.
Wow.
Well, yeah, I know. You should always make the future farther into the future when you make a movie.
It makes me laugh though, because I guess, on a side note, Blade Runner is not the future anymore, and then this is not the future anymore, and it's kind of like, did they think like the 2000s would just be like anarchy and hell on earth? I mean, Jesus.
It kind of is though.
Yeah, but here's the thing: I want my flying cars, I want my robotic bear servants, like I want my people. Like that's the sad thing, like. You
mean that you didn't get what you wanted out of the future?
Yeah.
Well, Be careful what you wish for, because
that's true.
Here that was a segue. This dystopian future past we're talking about is, in fact, the 1987 head scratcher Cherry 2000.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Here to help us unpack this sci-fi male fantasy is our special guest, the Austin, Texas drag king and goth cholo, Papi Churro.
Hey everyone, how are you doing?
Hi, Papi.
Hi.
So you'd seen this film before?
Oh, so many times.
Wow. Okay.
Me also.
Then this question goes to both of you. Why Cherry 2000?
Because I am in love with Melanie Griffith.
Yes.
I can see that.
She is fucking magical.
I have to agree. I have to agree on that. This was one of her like better roles.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Wow. Well, that says a lot about her.
No, I mean, I don't know why. It just fit her so much. Like, I almost feel like I love her as an actress, but I think sometimes like whatever dialogue or whatever she's reading, I don't think sometimes it fits her like in some ways. Like there's certain movies where I'm just like, why was she given this role? She's not.
She has.
That's how I felt about this movie.
She has such a sweet voice and such a sweet like sound to her voice. I'm sorry.
I think this kind of gave her some character though. Like,
yeah,
I made me actually like want to go look up more Melanie Griffith movies.
That's interesting. I always felt like her best role was Something Wild. You ever seen that one?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
She's kind of this like goofy, crazy, manic pixie type,
Oh,
I
I'll have to check that out.
term was invented, but that's a good role for her. This, I didn't buy it, man.
Oh, no. But at the same time, like the level of like salty she gave in that role was just like, it was so relatable. Like, I just think I remember watching this movie and being like, that's totally my luck. Like, I'd be like the last person and I'd be like me doing my thing. And like everybody else is like in love with their like perfect robot, girlfriends and shit. And then they'd be like, oh, you know what? Maybe I'm missing out on the real thing. And then that's my shot. I get somebody.
With a human. My shot with a human.
Summary of my life.
I burned out all my wall units, so now I have the real human.
So maybe it's time to try the real thing again.
So I was reading up on some trivia about this, and I know that you didn't buy her as a badass, but you might after hearing about this. Yeah. She did this movie 3 weeks after giving birth to her first kid.
It was 3 months.
3 months? I thought it was 3 weeks.
Wow.
I read 3 months, but you know what? Either way, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Wow.
That's a bounce back, though.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what was she just like? Shat out the baby and then just started with the diet pills? Like, what happened?
Or maybe she just never, she just starved that baby to death, and she was just like, I'm going to keep my cute figure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, she did dress in layers a lot,
Hey, that's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, that
has layers. Yeah,
that was cool. Like, yeah, like she was. I mean, she did just kind of like flash boobage, like in kind of like a shadow kind of puppetry way.
Yeah, that could have been a body.
And cleavagey, but there was no like gratuitous like boobage going on.
No, that was definitely out of the norm for the 80s for sure.
Yeah, and it was kind of like, but she was like mostly badass, but like she was just like, I get to be badass, but I don't need to like, flounce my boobage around.
Right. You get a side boob and that's it.
Yeah.
And maybe it's a side boob.
More side boob.
Did you know that Kevin Costner was asked to play the male role?
Oh, geez.
It would have been a completely different movie.
But
it would have been. I think it would have been even more cheesy. I would have loved it even more.
But the thing that I understand though is like, this was made in 1987, and it just, I'm like, how could they read this script and be like, yes, like I want to take this movie because I might win an Oscar, or I don't know. There's something about this movie just screams
What's the
like.
Motivation?
What was that?
What was the motivation for that?
Yeah, it's like, I get it, y'all need some money in your actors and stuff, but damn,
Yeah.
I just gotta work,
know,
right?
I just want to know what construction area that they filmed that whole.
I know. It was so cool. I think it was all shot in California.
Probably, yeah, I think so.
It said shot in Nevada.
Okay. Yeah, the evil baddie group.
Yeah.
They were so funny.
They were like dystopian yuppies that just decided to like be, I don't know, anarchists or something somewhere.
They look like dads on vacation.
It was kind of amazing, actually. Oh.
But the leader, Lester, that is the world famous Tim Thomerson, who was in a lot of really bad 80s and early 90s I guess it's like Full Moon Entertainment, I guess. So he was like Doll Man, and he was in Trancers, and so he had.
I thought he looked really familiar.
Yeah,
he was hilarious.
Yeah, he had a really heyday in the 90s.
Yeah, he's kind of a B king.
Yeah. Well, C movie king, I would say.
C.
Because a lot of the stuff that he was doing was like straight to video type stuff. But I remember, me and my crew back in the day used to watch a lot of those movies, and he was like a cult hero. So I've always had had like a special place in my heart for him. So yeah, he was a great, had a lot of TV credits as well. So he's a good guy.
Did you guys notice all of the cameos from other sci-fi movies?
Not so much because I'm not a fan, but tell us.
So, Lawrence Fishburne.
Oh, well, yeah.
Morpheus, as the blinking lawyer.
Oh,
and then,
lawyer.
what's that one?
Sex lawyer.
Quato. Quato from that, God, like
Quado!
Total Recall. Yeah.
Yeah, Total Recall was there as like a bad guy, and then Leon from Blade Runner had a pretty good cameo.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
They were like all in that border town right before they got to No Man's Land.
Yeah, that looks fun.
My future ex-husband, yes.
Oh my God. Yeah, I totally like that bar when they walked in, and then there was like that tableau of all those dudes with hats sitting at that table. Like I have to say the fashion in this movie was like so exciting.
True. That they look like they were a band. Like
I know. I took a picture of them. I'm going to put it up on the on our feed and Facebook.
Oh yeah.
Although, I mean, since it's like futuristic, 2017, I think there's just a little bit of a little accuracy. I mean, I'm thinking to myself now that I watched it again, I was like, this could have been a hipster bar, like a saloon / like
Like I totally want to go to that bar. I want to be in that bar.
It's the hottest bar at the edge of the earth.
Exactly.
It's the hottest club at the edge of the world. Yes. It has everything.
It has everything.
The beers are like $9 and
yeah, totally. Beers are $12 now in San Francisco. I'll have you know.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Well,
here's your $9 Schlitz.
This is why I don't drink, I guess, now. I can't afford to.
Let's back up and talk about the plot, and I put that in quotes.
Wow.
So
Klingon was not impressed.
It's 2017, and so what's going on here? Like, it's hard to say. Nothing's explained in this movie, but our hero is basically working in recycling. Is that right?
Oh yeah, he wears a three-piece suit to go to his recycling job.
It's weird.
And character Sam Treadwell, played by
the
David.
Thing that I loved is that they were recycling old typewriters, which these days we would probably be grabbing up and reselling on Etsy like maniacs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it would have more value.
Yeah.
Than it's scrap metal. But so that's where society is, right? Like, you're just in this place where like everything is about recycling the past. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what's happening there.
Apparently you can make a really good living as a recycler in 2017.
Yeah. That's the world we're living in. That's the dystopia right there. And the other part of this dystopia is the lack of human connection, right? Because he's got a robot wife, or as they call it in the movie, a gynoid.
Which is so silly.
Gynoid. I never knew that was the name of it.
Wow. So silly.
Does that mean is that like a gynecological reference? Like,
yes, it's a female android.
Yeah,
it's the nerd guys.
Yeah, they refer.
So this is
sex.
a gynoid, a guy droid, because they can't talk to a real lady.
No, it was all about sex. They were there to take care of the house and to have sex with. So that's it.
I have one question about that though. That whole thing. It's like, okay, so you know that you knowingly have a robot wife. Why would you want to have sex with her on the floor while there's water on the ground?
Very good question. Because yes, he shorts her out.
Don't look behind the curtain. It's
that's definitely what in a customer service we call that user error.
Oh my God.
Yes.
He comes home from his job and then he has sex with his Cherry 2000 on the wet floor. And she's
only allowed to drop my iPhone in the toilet once.
Yeah, right.
I mean, the thing that I don't understand is why did he just get a giant vat of rice and stick her in it, and then be done with it.
End of movie.
Really happy ending.
And, I mean, she was a sex robot though, and she was in the shower when we first see her. You would think that she would be watertight, but obviously there's some something got like she got leaky because she was old.
You said watertight. Did you mean to say that?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
Okay. Just making sure.
Davis Jr.
Because I was like, damn.
Well, apparently the Cherry 2000 is like an old model, right? Because when he takes her in to get fixed, the mechanic, I don't know what you call it,
The mechanic,
like the lady mechanic, or maybe he's a gynecologist.
Oh. I see what you did there.
See what I did? Well,
Clever.
it's kind of like a car. He's like, I don't have the parts to fix this thing, right? And he can't, they don't make this thing anymore, but if you go out into Zone 7, there's like a warehouse of them.
Well, the thing that was kind of interesting to
Sure.
me too is just like, how highly desirable that this model was, and how there wasn't a suitable replacement. Like the upgrade kind of petered off. Like, and now the other ones that were coming out weren't nearly as good as the Cherry 2000, and all of these people, like, it's kind of like how we're having like this nostalgia about 80s movies.
Huh.
Yeah, but when you go back to it, it's probably not as great. Well, no, whatever.
No, I get what you're saying. Like, it totally
getting
makes sense.
pretty meta.
2000 was amazing.
Well, okay, so he's like, why don't you pick another sex robot? And then they show one that looks like a schoolgirl.
Oh my God. Yeah, so many issues with that. Why was it so okay in the 80s to have underage sex?
That's a great question.
That is a great question.
It's all throughout history. It's basically a new concept that you don't put your dick in children.
You know that Melanie Griffith was, I think, living with Don Johnson when she was, like 15 years old.
Jeez.
God damn.
I have to, like, yeah, and like her mom was freaking the fuck out, but there's nothing, like that she just didn't feel like there was anything she could do about it.
Call the cops.
She was like, this man is a star.
Yeah.
Oh, then you can absolutely fuck my 15-year-old daughter.
In that case.
I mean, you have to kind of think about it, You got to think about it. It's like, okay, I'm a mom. I got this kid. This Hollywood guys. It's Jerry Lee Lewis all over again.
Yeah.
Similar, yes. Yes. So wait, was that Don Johnson's baby she had 3 weeks or 3 months before?
No, it was another guy's baby. Okay, so the guy that was crap. He was in Scarface. What was his
Al
name?
Pacino?
Not Al Pacino. He played Al Pacino's friend. Let's see, Scarface actor.
He was the guy that he killed, right?
I think so.
Yeah, because he had sex with this girl, and he was just like, you got to die now because you had sex with
Stephen Bauer.
What was his name?
Stephen Bauer.
Okay.
Stephen Bauer.
Yeah, and he did not age well. Jesus.
Ooh.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Papi, I'm just going to dive into your life a little bit here to make a point.
Wow. Okay.
That's a great segue.
Thank you. So you founded a troupe called the Bizarre Stripper Burlesque Troupe in Austin, and
I did.
Yeah, right. And it's a trans femme and non-binary burlesque troupe, which is super cool. But I think it's so interesting to have you here because what say you of all this future misogyny?
It's funny because I remember there was only a few movies that I would rent from the Blockbuster when I was younger, and this was one of them. So I loved this movie, and then I rewatched it again, a much older and more aware
You kind of cut out. Will you repeat that real quick? You kind of cut out a little bit.
Oh, yeah, no worries. So I watched this as a kid and rewatched it as an adult, knowing what I know now. And it's very, if you don't, it's just a really huge definition of, I guess, what a toxic masculinity, especially in the 80s. So it makes me wonder, like, this is probably why we're in a fucked up dystopian time, because of stuff going on like this. Like, honestly, it's just, yeah. So yeah, it definitely had me reevaluating some things while I rewatched it again, just going, oh, this definitely wasn't as cool as I thought it was, but it's still cheesy.
I mean, you enjoy it.
Yeah, I can enjoy it.
It's definitely not as hard to watch as Hard Bodies.
Oh gosh, no.
I loved Hard Bodies.
I love this more than Hard Bodies. At least she got to kill people.
That's true. She's got weapons. That's cool.
Yeah,
but she was super badass too. You know, because
she really was.
I mean, her hair was crazy. Like, I mean,
yeah,
we never talked about the
such
fashion.
A good look.
What was that?
It's a great look she's got. I was just agreeing with you.
Yeah, with that, the hair and the color and the like that. It was like this bright red, right? And then
it's like Chris's haircut from Blade Runner, except red.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And then
it was very low maintenance.
Yeah,
you know,
but she was straight up kicking ass, and I don't know. It was a weird. It was a weird movie, you know, because you have this guy. And you find out later that he was part of a war, so he was a soldier. Yeah. So, like, maybe he had this weird kind of PTSD, and all he wanted was a very normal life. And then I didn't understand why she and him he started catching feelings for her. I guess because he realized that he was missing out on like the human emotion. So it had this kind of undercurrents of, like, you know, loneliness and wanting, you know, things to be kind of perfect, quote unquote, 50s housewife, 50s sort of thing, and that's not, you know, that wasn't real. And so he and when he was actually forced to actually engage in his life, really, he started to live again, you know. Yeah. But it was kind of weird that, you know, Melanie Griffith, you know, needed to be his muse for that. And then
she was a challenge.
Yeah.
Guys like a challenge.
Yeah, but then she like sacrificed herself, you know, to quote unquote get the job done. And I was like, okay, you know, but then he goes back for her. So I don't know. I like that she was able to hold her own in the movie as well. Like, she was not if I remember correctly, she was not a damsel in distress type.
No, absolutely not. I mean,
I love that.
She's like, look, I'm trying to be professional here. I'm trying to get my coin, you know? And if I could just get deep for a minute, it's kind of like this like graduation of this masculine, I guess, character. He wants this 50s virginal like type that's only for him. And then throughout the time while he's trying to go get this part, he's replaying this audio recording of his doll, and like he's really missing her personality. And I feel like at some point he decides, you know, this is great and all, but like maybe a real personality from a real person is something that I want, which I feel like sometimes in the dating world happens when you're dating a cisgender male. They're like, at first they start off with like, you know, the really, really gorgeous girls, and that's what they think they want, I guess. And then they decide, oh, maybe I want a personality. It's kind of like, you know, in a similar situation for, I don't know. It seemed like there was like some sort of graduation that was happening for him. Like he's just going to himself, maybe I want a personality, somebody who's pretty badass, somebody who can hold their own and independent, but at the same time have like the sweet side of her. I mean, she only shows it like a little bit, like when she goes back and she visits with that one guy. I can't even remember his name.
Her uncle.
Yeah, her uncle. And then you start seeing like the sweeter, like softer version of her, because obviously he's like a father figure to her.
Yeah, he was kind of like her mentor. I don't know if they were related, but
was it Six Fingers Jake or something?
Yeah, exactly. Six Finger Jake.
Yeah, so you're right. Like Sam Treadwell, the main guy, like he has this arc where he grows. He has a some personal growth. But why does she fall for him?
Because he's pretty.
Because
so.
have you seen that town? It's not like
Yeah. Did you see
Slim
that?
there's
Taco?
slim
Right.
pickings.
Right? She was like, upgrade ya.
Right? She's like,
I love-
okay, there's the Okies in the town, or there's the dystopian yuppies.
I love how they laughed at him when they were like, "Where are you from?" And he's all like, "Anaheim."
Oh my God. I have the same reaction.
Like, but also too, how did he keep his face so clean shaven throughout the movie?
They never showed him shaving, do they?
Yeah, and he's just like so smooth and pretty. He was a pretty guy.
Well, he's supposed to
Laser
be.
hair removal, I'm sure.
He's supposed to be a pretty man. You know, he's a pretty man.
He's a pretty man, yeah. And in a way, he's kind of like there's definitely some gender role exchange. That's at least that's what I've noticed. You know, she's definitely much more tougher, much more in tune to her own masculinity.
Yeah.
And he is kind of in a way in tune with his own femininity because he's looking for the softer side. He's looking for love in this dystopian world where everybody's like trying to kill each other and screw each other over.
Yeah. Meanwhile, she's like, "Don't drive my car."
Yeah. So I wanted my car
Yeah.
so bad because I was like, I want an indestructible Mad Max looking car. But then when you rewatch it, you're just like, that's nothing. I could get more out of a Tesla.
Especially that new cyber Tesla, that truck.
Oh my gosh, right? It's indestructible.
Unless Elon Musk is like throwing something at the windshield.
Yeah. I don't know. It just, I don't know. It seemed like this movie had every B movie star of the time in it, right? And then, or C movie, and then Melanie Griffith. Like, why did you take this movie? Like, what?
I didn't think she was that big of a star at that time. And I think that they thought it was a bigger vehicle than it actually turned out to be.
Oh.
Well,
Yeah.
In 80s time, there was still a lot of misogyny. So I'm sure her being pregnant and postpartum probably had to do with it. They're like, "Oh, we can't put you in anything sexy that shows your body because you just had a baby."
Oh,
you know?
I didn't even think about that. You were probably right. Yeah.
They also they had some kind of thing in her contract because she was pregnant when she did the screen test, and they're like, "Well, if you don't have the baby by September."
Jeez.
Yeah, we're going to recast it. And she ended up having the baby, I think, like August 22nd or something like that.
She was like, "Can you induce me because I got to film to film, you know?"
Yeah.
This baby's got to
get this going. Time is money.
Like Melly got to get paid. Now, what did you just say, Odessa?
I was just saying, it's such a crazy world. Not this dystopian future, but Hollywood.
Yeah,
Oh,
and it
definitely.
hasn't changed.
Yeah.
Definitely.
No.
But
Yeah. So, all right. So he finds a tracker. She's a tracker. Melanie's Griffith's a tracker. So he goes to this weird town. Was it called Glory Hole?
Oh yeah, it was called Glory Hole.
And I already posted a picture of their sign, which is like that neon sign that has the boop 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 boop, like the weird neon that goes back into a butthole.
Ah!
God, what
Yummy.
a name.
Right. So he goes to Glory Hole in search of a very famous tracker who people are saying, "Oh, he's dead" or whatever. And so he ends up with Melanie Griffith as a tracker. And but then she leads him into Zone 7, which is this dangerous area that's ruled over by Lester's gang, which we mentioned earlier. Lester's gang. They look like a bunch of dads on vacation because they're all wearing aloha shirts.
I love it. Well, he walks into that hotel and he sees one of Lester's gangs there, who's like kind of a Schwarzenegger wannabe, and he's wearing tiny little shorts with his giant pumped up body, like a shirt, like a little, like Hawaiian shirt, which barely fits him, and then a fedora. And he's just kind of with boots, and he's just like kind of hanging out. And I was just like, I've seen that look at a gay club before, ironically. And it's just, and I was just like, is this hot? Is it not? I mean, I was like having problems.
That was his twink uniform.
I have a question.
Oh my God,
well, do you think that they were all gay?
No, I don't. Well, I don't. Well, I don't
There
know.
was like two women there. Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Maybe they were like the moms of the group,
Yeah, like it's definitely like kind of some kind of 50s style gender roles going on in that evil, town. Although I did see one of so it was a woman wearing guy clothes with the guys doing all the shootings and shooting out. So, but she wasn't wearing and then he took his very feminine wife lady with him to chase them down. She brought sandwiches.
Ginger.
Oh gosh. Sandwich.
They were the mom. They were like, we're gonna take care of you, dear. Don't worry. We'll get that nasty woman.
Well, that turns out to be Sam Treadwell's ex-girlfriend. So that's like this weird connection.
Yeah.
Right. That's like his ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, that's right.
Which later you kind of wonder, wait, is Ginger or Elaine, whichever her name is is she a robot?
Oh, they kind of hinted that at the end, I guess. I was reading on Wikipedia that they kind of hint at because how the movie ends, they kind of hint at it.
Exactly.
But it's never
next to Cherry 2000 and she hands her a sandwich. I mean, I thought that was actually really sweet. That made me feel like, that she sits down next to the discarded robot and just like very sweetly hands her a sandwich.
Yeah. It's maybe because they're both discarded robots.
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah. And they're just like sitting there with the dead guy. Like, whatever, he's dead. We still live here. Fuck you all.
Yeah.
But they're not even dark about it. They're all
not at all.
Let's have sandwiches.
Yeah,
that's
right?
what we do.
Well, they're robots. They don't care.
Let's celebrate our 1950s feminine roles.
But she ate, so Cherry 2000 only made a plate of dinner for the guy at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then Ginger sat down, and I noticed that she literally took a bite out of the sandwich. So I kind of made me feel like she's actually a human.
Yeah.
But she's just being kind to the robot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe. And she's just like emotionally like a robot.
I'm telling you, this their little gang was like these dystopian yuppies that were just like, God damn it, I'm gonna have my fantasy, and this stupid dystopian world is not gonna stop me. They really, really wanted that lifestyle. They wanted to maintain that lifestyle.
You mean like this Sky Ranch?
Yeah,
living in the desert.
So cool.
I want to go to there.
It was very retro. It's like those people that are like really, really into vintage, and they go like to tiki saloons and stuff, and they're like they really, really want to experience that. That's the vibe that I was getting.
Don't we know some of these people?
We don't like it. Is this Tiki Oasis?
Like, don't we know some of these people?
Yeah, we do.
Yeesh. Now I'm scared.
Basically Tiki Oasis.
That was the evil version of the Tiki Oasis beat.
Totally.
They even had kids.
But I wouldn't mind living in one of those domes, honestly. They live in these super cool blue domes.
But they didn't have air conditioning or heat. They were basically tents.
Nothing says future like domes.
Yeah.
That's true.
In the future, we'll live in domes.
Yes.
And I have to say, I love sci-fi movies, and like I said, I do love cheesy movies. They did stick to the formula of the sci-fi where they kind of included like I love that about sci-fi movies. They have all these like androgynous roles for women, as to say that gender is and gender roles do not apply in the future, unless you're an evil robot or
A sex robot.
Yeah, a sex robot or a dystopian yuppie gang. But for the most part, these gender roles are kind of like they're very blurred, which also kind of explains the little sex club that they have as well. The women are very much in control, and that's kind of like what turns the guy off in the beginning. He goes to this club, and these girls are like, this is what I could do, and if you want this, we can sign a contract right now. And he's just like, no, I really don't want to sign a contract for consensual sex,
Right. So they're setting up these one night stands, but they all have lawyers.
Yeah, and then they have needs that they expect to be met.
Yeah.
So, which was kind of, I thought that when they were showing that and like, all these women have these needs that they have, expectations. They actually don't. It's not even an expectation; it's a demand. And it kind of like was like they're kind of like, well, this is why he doesn't want real women, because they expect stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, is he wrong? Is he wrong? I mean, come on.
Expect consent, and I don't like that.
Reciprocation.
Consent is hard.
You gotta be a responsible human.
Reciprocation.
Can't I just buy you something?
But then he kind of figured out that like that's actually okay.
Yeah.
It's okay if it's with Melanie Griffith.
Nah. It's okay if there's no lawyers present.
It's true. Like, they took he just went wholesale direct,
So I'm sorry.
I just that scene made me so uncomfortable because, well, yes, you are seeing women being demanding and exacting. Like, it kind of hit me as this like another male fantasy that this is what strong women are like, and that's why I can't fall in love with a human.
Right. Oh, totally. It totally demonizes women of the future at that point. Yeah. It's just, oh gosh, I can't conform to this. This is horrible. This is inhumane. And then in the end, he ends up with a bad bitch. It's just like, it's.
I mean, she could fix an airplane.
Yeah.
Right?
With car parts.
Yeah.
With car parts.
These spark plugs are totally interchangeable. I could put them in an airplane, a car, my lawnmower.
So okay.
She's also a sharp shooter. She can shoot from like far distances. Like, she's practically a sniper.
So so then is she a Mary Sue then?
What's that?
A Mary Sue. You have what is that? What it's called? In some movies, I guess, like Ray.
Oh, like Gilligan's Island.
No.
Oh yeah.
No, right? no. A Mary Sue. If I'm saying it right, please correct me in the comment sections.
I don't even know.
So if you ever see the new Star Wars, Ray is a Mary Sue, meaning it's usually a female character that can do anything that is required in the movie, which is hilarious because I've seen many movies in which there are male characters who no backstory about them being able to do anything that is required of the script. Like, have you seen, what is it, that John Cusack movie, like with the like the End of the World or something? And he basically flies everything, drives everything, does everything in the movie. So
this concept, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's this concept called a Mary Sue, like Ray. Ray in Star Wars is a Mary Sue because
can fly anything. Like she could fly the Millennium Falcon, and I was just like, "Well, don't you have to go to school for that shit? You were a jump ball."
So people, mostly internet people, have said that term Mary Sue is basically any female character that within the scope of the narrative of the movie has shown no aptitude to do the things that she's capable of doing. Right, and so people are like, well, is this just to make them badass bitches or is it just to move the plot along? Is it pandering? And so it was just kind of
because
interesting.
You don't want to pay another actor to fly the plane.
Yeah, but it's
I
just
mean,
the
it's
concept.
unrealistic, you know.
But
It's no one is like that in the real world. No one is magical like that.
Yeah,
Well, but
unless
that's
they
just
work for the military.
But that's just the
It's true.
thing, you know. But it's so basically it's so the definition is and I'm reading this from the internet, so you know it's true. It's originally in fan fiction a type of female character who is depicted as unrealistically lacking in flaws or weaknesses. So basically, it's the idealized of a perfect fictional character. Yeah.
You know, I would say she has one weakness we see, and it's jealousy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
But that's a character
it's a
flaw.
male fantasy.
But
It
then
is.
It's true.
But then, if this
true.
strong woman who can do everything else is affected by such a base emotion like jealousy, like, I mean, come on. You know, I would think a woman who was this strong and had to deal with everything that she needed to do to survive in this male-dominated world as a bounty hunter would give a fuck about jealousy. I'm sorry. It just was like...
No,
Yeah,
you're
it didn't feel right to
absolutely-
me either.
No.
Or she'd
Exactly.
hide it. Maybe she'd feel it, but she'd fucking hide it and not let anyone see a weakness in her character.
Like they
I
truly
do.
had.
I do have to say that I was very satisfied by all her salty like her comebacks. Like she is all in a way there was that jealousy, but at the same time she was really salty. I wouldn't say salty. She was more like just petty about it. Like oh you don't want the real thing? Aw, you know. Like she kind of makes fun of him for being the way he is.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found that actually pretty satisfying.
And maybe it humanizes her too.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, she's a person. She's got, mood swings.
Oh, you said it
And,
humanizes her. Yeah, I guess that's true. Because I guess that was one way of showing. It's an easy way for the writers to show that she's human or she has emotions. She's not a robot either, I guess.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
But again, another thing about the Mary Sue is a lot of times it's depicted as wish fulfillment by the author, and I'm thinking like which author is wanting that in this movie? Because I don't know. I don't think that's what's going on in this movie. I think someone had a thought, and they're like, let's do this, and then they did it.
When did Alien come out?
The 70s, late 70s.
Okay, yeah. So this is like kind of continuation of that badass woman in like Sigourney Weaver. Character.
I think they were trying to play around with the female badass because I believe Terminator came out around the same time.
Yeah.
And you had what's her name? And she was kind of a badass in the first Terminator as well. I mean, not as like badass.
She found her
now.
badassery.
Linda Hamilton.
Yeah, Linda Hamilton. She was a badass, but and she just kind of consistently turns more into a badass in the 90s and then the most latest one. But in the 80s, it was kind of like a softer version. I feel like Hollywood was kind of playing with those types of roles. They were just like, we want a badass, but not too much of a badass.
Right. And maybe
gotta be
that's why
sexy.
Melanie Griffith was
We don't want
cast
to take
in this
away
role.
her femininity for some reason that was associated with that.
So Alien came out in 1979.
Okay, so it was like 8 years before this movie. Like for me, when I saw Aliens, I was all in. I was just like, holy shit! This is the first time I ever saw a woman like actually, whip out her badassery in a believable way.
Right.
I mean, she was using technology to create an edge and her sneakiness. And
She looked
sense
good.
of sense of self-preservation.
Oh yeah,
that was so believable.
yeah, for sure.
And to compare and contrast that with Melanie Griffith in this role.
It was a farce.
Yeah,
It was
totally.
comedy compared to that.
It's like,
I mean, the
this is
bad.
not how-
It is a comedy.
Yeah, the evil guys were so funny. I mean, they were, just that these weird 50s, 80s, like, bros with
80s,
their
50s.
with their Hesher girlfriends,
You
you
just-
know, like
Their crop tops and their
yeah.
You just couldn't take them
Yeah, they're
seriously.
really feminine clothes, but with big ass guns and stuff, and all of their
Yeah.
crazy little cars. I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind living there, with at a Sky Ranch with the weirdos, but you
I
know,
would want to bump like I would actually loved all the places. Like I loved Anaheim where he was from. I loved his little Anaheim house. I thought it was so cool.
it was really cool.
And I like the weird border town, and I liked the Sky Ranch.
Yeah, I would
And
say this movie looks really good.
Yeah, it looks great.
But the weird
Yeah.
I
thing
love all the fashion.
It's honestly, it's got the right amount of cheese to keep me engaged through the entire movie.
Right.
I think the
Yeah.
weird thing about it though for me is she played such a strong character, but then never really played anything like that again. And then when she did Working Girl, it kind of solidified her as that. Like I think it was Working Girl that made her a star, really, if you really want to.
Yeah.
And then from then, she really was like, I don't want to say like a cheesecake or something like that, but she really, I don't know, it was just,
Sex symbol.
yeah.
Kind of.
Yep.
Yeah, and
No,
then it
for
was,
sure.
so it kind of makes you wonder if Cherry 2000 had been like a hit, if she would have became an action star, you know, or
Oh, that would have been
great.
great. I
You know,
would've
like
been
Sigourney
into that.
Weaver.
yeah.
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 So I don't know.
So
Something to think about.
I kind of went down a little bit of down memory lane, and I went and tried to find her old website. So she used to have a website, melaniegriffith.com, but then she just let it go defunct. So I remembered it, and I had this like thing of like all this nostalgia about it. I remembered it was completely like a fairyland. Like you
What?
go to it, and it's like a garden with, you know, garden doors and everything. And then I went to the Wayback Machine, and it's there.
Oh,
And it's still just the way I remembered it. And it was like it's super fairy like and really sweet, and her personality comes through it and like on it, and she's just genuinely comes off like a sweet little fairy person, even though she's like practically 6 feet tall. But you know, like yeah, like she has you go to the Wayback Machine, and I think I clicked around year 2000 and picked something in February, and you know, I went to her blog, and she's like, give it something to the women's, you know, rights thing, and we could really make a difference. And you know, and then her like photos and like her bio, which seemed to be written by her, you know, she just came off as a very optimistic, positive person. And it was it was really sweet. And at the time too, like I was just going to her website, you know, in the 2000s and stuff, like just early 2000s, just to be like, like it was just so weird to me. It was just like, oh my God, she has a website, and it's just full of all this, you know, super fairy magic. And, you know, and she's just so loving and, you know, accepting and stuff. Like I got turned on to her website through gay men.
Wow.
You know, like they were like, go look at her website. She's so sweet. We love her. And I was just like, oh my God. You know, it was just
so knowing that makes you like her and her movies even more.
yeah. So like it kind of gives me this whole like feeling about Melanie Griffith as a person in general. Although like I have seen her like more recently come in and play like really snarky bitchy ladies and in some of her roles, which is hilarious.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like
I hear she funds. I hear she helps to produce a lot of like Antonio Banderas's movies and stuff. I actually did like her. There is one movie, and I cannot think the name of it because it's so early in the morning for me. But she plays like a woman who comes from a small town, and she's like in a very abusive like marriage, and she has like 6 kids, and she eventually like she murders him, the husband, in self-defense, and then runs off to Hollywood to become like a famous star. And it's actually one of yeah, I love the movie. It's so hilarious but she has like this whole like they bring her back, they extradite her, she goes to court, and they allow her to testify on her own behalf. And she gives this like beautiful speech about becoming a mother and having to go through all of this abuse and what it did to her soul. And it was like this moment where I was just, I was sobbing through it because it was so beautiful, this speech, and it makes you think. And it's just like, I honestly felt like that was her personality, like kind of shining through that sweet side of her, you know?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like when you see some of the stuff when she's, like in the 2000s and stuff she's with Antonio Banderas, like she's really seems sweet.
Yeah. Oh, and when you said crazy, that just like triggered me. The movie's name is called Crazy in Alabama.
Oh my God, I see it right there.
Yeah, 1999.
Yeah, that was a great movie.
Yeah.
Directed by Antonio Banderas.
Oh, well, there you go.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh.
That's awesome.
I love Dakota Fanning. I mean, not Dakota Fanning, but Dakota Johnson in Suspiria, the Suspiria remake.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That was an excellent remake.
Yeah, I love both of the Suspiria.
Oh, that's her kid?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Her kid
Okay.
is the one that's doing
50
all
Shades
those,
of Grey.
like, yeah.
Oh,
Which
shit.
Mom, why don't you watch my next movie?
Yeah.
That's what you got to do.
Mom, Dad, I did three of them. I'm bent over. Okay. Boobs out, bouncing around.
He's like, Antonio's like, get paid, darling. It's great.
Yeah. Her dad's Don Johnson.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, she's had kids with 3 men.
Go on, girl. You get your life.
I know, like my mom.
Okay.
Diversity in the gene pool.
Yeah.
It helps. But okay, so were either of you surprised that the Cherry 2000 their factory was a casino in Vegas?
Yeah.
It definitely looked like the construction site that you see when you're in Las Vegas, and they're like gutting out an entire section of of old Vegas to set up for a new casino. I felt like that's exactly, that was pretty accurate.
Yeah, it looked like Fremont Street, but just filled with sand.
Exactly.
It made me feel like, when they're coming in and they have those, half everything is buried in the sand. I was just like, oh my God, Blade Runner 2049 did their research by looking at this.
Sky Ranch had to have been filmed like in the neon graveyard or something like that, because that's what it seemed like to me.
That look.
Yep.
For sure. Yeah, I like that they're living in the wreckage of this, of basically of the 50s glamour. And we've talked about 80s, 50s before with Streets of Fire.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
It's another obsession.
That was their retro time. They really enjoyed, like, if you look at a lot of the cult classic movies, the teen bop movies, there was a lot of 50s reference in that.
It's so funny. Like now the reference is 80s.
Yeah.
Like 80. I was like, wait, because I'm going to a party tonight, like a work party, and it's like an 80s themed party. I'm just like, what am I gonna drag out of my closet? I have like a full array of 1980s crap to wear.
Yeah. I think you should go in your Melanie Griffith drag from this movie.
Yes, goes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
There you go.
I don't have the right wig though.
Are you sure? I'm surprised by that.
I know. It's shocking.
Maybe you should go as Cherry 2000, the guy droid.
No, because
cool.
if she win as Cherry 2000, she'd have to get drinks for everybody.
She'd have to go get a Pepsi. So,
Would you like a
Lord.
Pepsi?
A Pepsi and some sandwiches.
Would you like a sandwich and some Pepsi? Oh, I'm going to get a Pepsi.
It's a tradition on this show to ruin the movie for anyone who hasn't seen it.
I know. We should have been like,
Here's a
spoilers,
spoiler.
whatever. If you haven't seen this movie in the last 3 decades, I can't help you.
No.
He ditches.
It?
Oh, what's that?
Like, did you get the movie outside? I'm trying to think where you could even find the movie. Do you have to go to like a special like video store that has it?
Well, you can watch it on Amazon Prime. Well, actually, we had to rent. I had to rent it.
Oh God.
I rented it too for $4.
Yeah, why should have made $1 less? But
I could have bought it for 14.
Oh,
I considered it.
Wow. Way to take one for the team, Vanna.
Yeah, really.
Melanie Griffith is that magical to me. She's very magical.
I had no idea.
She's
obsessed
magical. Do you know that she was attacked by a lion in her own home?
I should laugh at that, but that sounds so bizarre.
Tippi Hedren and that is her mom, and they did this experiment where they all lived with big cats, and they filmed it for a year as a documentary about conservation or something, and like everybody on the team and in the family were attacked by animals.
Oh my gosh.
Big cat sanctuary. It always happens.
White
She
people.
was bitten on the head, I think. And so she has scars from being attacked by a lion in her own home.
One
Thanks,
extra
Mom.
factoid.
Rich
That's
white people.
where-
Crazy.
Yes. But that's where Togar ended up. That's the cat sanctuary Togar ended up in.
Who's Togar?
Anton LaVey's lion.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's so Melanie Griffith knows Togar.
Oh.
Melanie Griffith pictured with satanic lion.
There you go.
Oh.
Her enormous live-in pet lion.
Everything goes back to Satan.
That's
Which
true.
brings me to the budget of this movie.
Satan's budget.
What was it?
They didn't make no money off this movie.
Well, no. They spent $10 million on it, and it looks like we were saying. It looks good. It's a really good action film. The action's good. The stunts are good. Cars are exploding. They spent the money. However, they just didn't know how to market it in America, and it went straight to video.
Oh, that's what
Yeah.
happened with it. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And it didn't go straight to video right away either. It took the film company years to put it out on
Wow.
VHS.
That
20
makes
million.
sense because I don't remember a
No.
trailer for it and everything, and I know I'm pretty old.
I didn't watch it until I think like 2003 or something.
Oh, I saw
Like-
it. I saw it in the 90s. Definitely.
I didn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did too. I saw it in the 90s too.
Yeah.
On cable.
I remember renting it
renting
on
it.
the Blockbuster or
Yeah.
something
Oh,
like
okay.
that.
Valley Video was our destination. They didn't care that we were young. We were in all kinds of R-rated movies and shit. It was crazy.
Oh, that was the good old days. I remember that. Like, you just
Wild
go
West.
up there, be like, I will have all of these R-rated movies, and I'm like, 13, 14 years old.
Yeah,
No fucks were given.
of course not. But that like we're that's what makes us who we are today.
Yes.
And that's why we do this podcast.
Thank you, inappropriate Blockbuster employee.
Yes, thank you, age-inappropriate blockbuster employee.
Well, they're the same age, probably.
Blockbuster. Letting us watch movies about sex bots.
I love it.
Gotta learn somehow.
Right?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of taglines for this movie as well. Because, again, they didn't know how to market this thing. They botched it. This film probably could have done better than it did.
I agree.
If they just went for it and released it to the screens. But anyway, so this is one of the taglines. In the year 2017, a good woman is hard to find. A Cherry 2000 is even harder.
Oh my god.
So I have so many questions.
Yeah, right?
I
Like,
don't know
number
why
one-
it didn't make any money.
Number one, what the hell is a Cherry 2000? Number two, why do I want one? And
Well, you probably don't.
no,
Shecky.
I don't.
You-
I want to.
You want a Larry 2000?
Yes, I want a Barry 2000.
No, you want a Harry 2000.
Harry 2000.
Harry 2000. I think it would have been like the Bear 2000.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just don't get down and dirty in the soapy water with your bear.
Don't
Yeah,
do that.
Make sure that your bear is watertight.
Yes. No hot tubs.
You need
No
to
hot
constantly replace
No.
those gaskets.
Because he keeps blowing them.
Oh.
Ho, ho, ho. Ho, ho.
Oh, shit.
You're silly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, that we know it's true. So, Klingon, what would your sex bot be?
Oh.
Kling Dong 4000.
Dong 4000.
Yeah.
It could be
Well, it'd definitely be gender neutral, like androgynous.
You want an androgynous robot?
Yeah.
Have it.
With a detachable penis.
There you go.
Oh, I like that. I like that idea, actually.
So like,
What's
so I
your-
could dress it up, I could butch it up,
Yeah.
or I could femme it up,
Oh,
or
that
it
sounds,
could just be totally androgynous.
that
Like,
sounds amazing.
Yeah. Completely modular, and you can just do what you want with it.
yeah, and I want it. Yeah. I want it to look good in clothes, like high fashion clothes. So I don't care what it's wearing though.
That's awesome.
And good, yeah. It's yeah.
You
Yeah.
gotta look
What-
good clothes.
What's your sex robot gonna be?
I kind of want to piggyback off of that. I like that idea. Like I want something that I could femme and then butch it up at the same time. It comes with all sorts of accessories and attachments and stuff.
Yeah.
I guess that would be really cool.
You can tell we grew up with Transformers.
Right?
Yeah.
And it would it have like a gender neutral name? Like I'm trying to think of what it would be a good gender
Gary.
neutral. Right.
That's too white though.
Pat,
Gary 3000.
Gary.
Aaron or something like that, like Aaron 2000.
I can see it.
Yeah, not bad. Not
Okay,
bad.
okay, Tessa. I know what yours would be. It'd be like
Oh,
a
really?
wafy, like a wafy scarecrow looking, just pale, bony fingers.
Vitamin D deficient. Yeah,
You know, I can hear you.
so when I design my sex robot for you, it's gonna be. It'll have to. I don't know. It's probably gonna be about 15 pounds underweight.
All gone.
Arms are gonna be slightly too long, but
oh, yeah, keep going. Oh, yeah. Tell me more.
It's going to grow a lot of facial hair, but it will shave most of the time, but it should be able to get a soul patch pretty easily.
Soul patch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it's mad at you, it'll grow a soul
It'll
patch.
come back in style, and then it will wear it ironically.
And like giant hair for some reason, just giant jet
Has
black
a
hair.
lot of hair. Odessa Lil will not have one that's shaved.
Nope.
So we're talking like C-3PO with the soul patch? Like,
No, he's too thick.
Yeah, he's too thick. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's like, I will co-sign off on this right now.
I don't know. We might have just gotten divorced.
She's like, okay, it was nice.
Checky
It was nice,
Jr.
it was nice being with you all, but we're done.
We're done. I'm taking my goth bot and leaving.
Your sex doll is going to be a literal bear.
Mine is definitely. It's just going to be a bear walking around
It's just going to
all
be
fours.
a bear. Like, it's going to be like Smokey the Bear. It's going to be wearing pants.
Yeah. No, just a shirt. I like my bears to shirt cock everywhere.
Shirt cocking
Shirt
bear.
cocking sex bot.
Just a shirt cocking sex bot bear just sitting there.
That does
That does what?
it does dishes.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, so
Chucky.
that's his foreplay. Seeing a shirt cocking bear doing dishes.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
That's not
Although,
bad.
I'm thinking to myself, like, what would a twink 2000 look like? You know, you just like that would be the equivalent of a cherry 2000 for sure.
Yeah.
A twink 2000.
Yeah. Just
Oh
sitting there.
yeah.
Hello.
It'd be very popular.
Oh yeah.
Like, hello. How can I help you?
Can I make an espresso? Would you like an
the
espresso?
dishes, Daddy?
Yes.
I made
And-
your favorite meal.
That's Twink 2000 now. Can I have more than one sex robot?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because you're probably gonna wear them out.
Yes. I want bears. I want cubs. I want otters. I want all of the woodland
Otters?
creatures.
Yes. The
Oh,
We're gonna get them wet.
The Auto 2000 will come with its own Nintendo Switch.
There you go. Just undock its head and be like, let's go. Okay, we are so silly.
We're so off. And Shecky, I'm gonna take you further. Remember that bear that's up in Oakhurst?
Oh, yeah.
And you hit the button, it's all, hi, I'm the talking bear. That's your sex bot.
Yep. I was like, will you marry me, talking bear?
Yes.
Did you guys go to Chuck E. Cheese? What are you talking about?
Oh my
Oh yeah, the fucking Chuck E. Cheese bear in the band. I
The
poured
bear band. That's my sex bot.
I poured one out when they said that they were gonna take out all of the robot band from Chuck E. Cheese.
I know how you guys got arrested.
I was so excited. That band terrified me.
What? Oh no! So no! Oh.
They didn't turn you on sexually.
Shut up.
All animatronics are terrifying. If we're just going to be honest here.
They just crave love and blood.
That's right.
And human
blood.
sacrifices.
Wow. This has been wild, and I think we've all found that we want sex robots.
Well, it's fucking 20.
Turned out so bad.
It's almost 2020. Where the fuck are the sex bots? Elon
Right.
Musk, get on that shit right now.
You just can't
Right.
afford one, but they're
Oh, yeah.
you can get them.
Well, they have those real dolls,
Yeah.
but it's just an inert piece of plastic that's at room temperature.
We're clearly in the wrong occupation. We have to be in recycling.
Yeah.
there you go. Yeah.
Then we could afford
That I can afford it.
Then you can
Agree,
afford
2000.
that.
Yeah.
Sex butt 2000.
But what about they have these flesh lights
No.
that are
Oh no.
connected to the internet and
Oh
they're
gosh.
yeah, you can download blowjobs and shit from all this. I mean, it's out there. Basically, we're there. They're just not walking around with us. They're not like presentable robots. They're just
Because you know why?
they're pieces.
It's
They're
an
parts.
accessory.
You know
to put
why?
your junk in.
You know
Yeah,
why?
put your dick in here.
No,
What?
exactly. You don't need all that extra. You don't need arms. You don't need legs. Just there. Boom.
Yeah.
All of it. It's gonna be like a multifaceted like thing with a tube and a sprocket and and
then you put your Oculus Rift goggles on to just kind of fill in the rest.
There you go. All that other, because remember, all you need, you don't need no hands, anything. Just that's all you need.
Yeah, okay. All right, Jeffrey Dahmer.
Don't look in his fridge.
Don't
God, don't.
don't do it.
Don't. Wow.
It's yummy.
Wrong. I brought that down. Sorry.
It sounds like we like this movie.
I did.
I'm confused, but
I loved it.
What do you think, Shaq?
I mean, it when you look at the stuff with like, the rose-colored glasses of the past, this shit is amazing. But when you really boil it down, it's
That's your review.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Poppy.
I honestly, I love it. And it's mainly because I will watch it with some friends while getting high so we can laugh at it.
There you go.
Love that.
There you go.
That is not a bad way to do it.
And Melanie Griffith is magical. You could take her on your magical high. I think she did her website when she was stoned.
That's probably true.
So sweet.
She's had drug problems.
She has?
Probably. She's from Hollywood. They all have.
Oh, yeah.
That's true. Yeah. How else do you have a baby and go immediately to back to work?
It's true.
Oh.
She got to get that coin, girl.
Yep,
Yes,
gotta get that
so.
coin. That sounds like a move I would have made.
Yeah. Get this baby out of me. I got to make a movie of the desert.
Gotta go back to work.
I gotta go back to work. I got gigs.
Right. Speaking of gigs, Poppy, where can we see you next?
Oh, geez.
Or where can we find out about all your gigs?
That's a really great
yeah.
segue, Odessa.
Well, I have multiple ways. I have a website, papichurroatx.com. You can find me on Facebook under Papi Churro ATX, as well as Instagram. And I try to update it as much as possible. It has lots of my gigs. I know on Tuesday I've got Boys of Austin at Elysium in Austin. And that's what we got. We're having our 4th annual Homo for the Holidays and 12 weeks a twerking contest.
Well.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's kind of a big deal.
It's kind of
Sounds
kind of
awesome.
funny because I've been around Papi Churro at different events, and they always look completely different. I realized like I'd been standing next to Papi Churro at some event and didn't even say hi like for like hours, and until I got home, and then I was just like, huh. Oh my God. And that's
She texts them later and is like, hey, I didn't see you at the
then I went
place.
to
She's
this
like, I'm
other-
standing right next to you.
And then I went to this other event, like some Christmas event. I can't remember what it was, but it was so funny. The hosts were so funny. And Papi Churro was totally doing high femme burlesque act. And I was just like, is that? No, it's not. Wait,
Yeah.
no, it's not.
That's awesome.
And I was just like, yeah, it is. Or, oh my God, it's Papi Churro.
That's awesome.
Do
When
you-
you can just completely melt into a character, that's great.
Do you have a lot of characters that you do?
I do. I try to. It's mainly because I'm so ADHD that I feel like I need to constantly change because I'm bored with whatever I'm doing, or I just think, what would look really cool. I just never really got into a character because I don't know if it's just like a self-esteem thing that I don't know that much of myself to say, oh, this is just me. Yeah, I have a lot of commitment issues.
Let's just say it's not self-esteem.
I am a Cancer.
Or you're just highly creative and you have a lot of
yeah.
personalities
you
inside
go.
you that need to come out.
Yeah, I love playing dress up, and I was a theater kid and theater nerd for sure. And all I wanted to do was just get dressed up and be like a chameleon.
That's awesome.
Yeah, costumes are so exciting
Yes.
when you're a kid. And then for some of us, we get to grow up and then live it, just
Yeah,
every day is
absolutely.
Halloween.
All the times when I never before drag, I think about that time period where I was just like really miserable and stuff, and that was probably because I didn't have a costume to wear.
So Totally. Get me a character.
Give me a character to be, damn it.
That's great. Well, okay, so PapiChurroATX.com
Yes.
is the best,
Great.
yeah, and Instagram, Papi Churro. Okay, so if you want to find out more about our podcast, Speakeasily.tv is your best bet. Or Facebook, we have a special people's club where you can talk to us about stuff. And that's the Speakeasily Hour Minute podcast group on the Facebook. On Instagram, it's Audra Wolfman. I don't know why.
So weird.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. I don't know. It's one of the characters I do. It's an Odessa Lil character. All right. So please tell us what you think in any of these venues and suggest movies. We love it. We're always looking for the next great 80s piece of trash to analyze.
Because we ain't got nothing else.
That's right. Thank you, Papi.
Yes.
It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you so
Yes.
much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. We really appreciate it.
And thank you, audience, because you've really been an audience. Good night.